video is broadcast on LSL Podcast Channel. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel.
We finally discovered where in the world was Matt Lauer. We now know what he was up to. Well, is there anyone left? Maybe they could bring John Chancellor back from the grave to do the...
Do you realize, I think I may well be the last anchor standing before this is over. Who knows? I might be hosting all these shows.
Yeah, from EWTN.
The last man anchor standing.
No.
Is. I do worry about this, though. It has become there's a kind of frenzy out there. And when you see these big media types going down in such succession, you do worry about what it means, culturally and otherwise.
Well, could this be Megyn Kelly's
big moment?
Big moment to step in, and Katie Couric is no longer.
Is television going to be is news only going to be a female occupation? No more males need not apply.
Apparently, no men should be anchoring any longer. I mean, think about who we could bring back. Well, Keith Olbermann said he was not going to do politics anymore. He's retired from politics.
Well, he's got his own.
Well. And then, wait, who else? They say that...
They could dig up David Brinkley, could come back from the dead and host.
Well, I understand that George Stephanopoulos is on the short list for replacing... do we know exactly what the allegations
Here are the allegations.
Here are the allegations.
As we can determine
Raymond, I'm on my way into work today to get a little exercise. I went for a jog along the Potomac River.
You did?
I did.
And no one pushed you in, nothing?
It's always a good day when I don't get, accosted by some lefty when I'm running along the Potomac River. But
I'll give you an Ingraham angle.
Yeah, how about this angle right in the Potomac?
Yeah.
By the way, you know what's really depressing? We'll get back to Lauer in a second, but let's focus on me
for a moment, yes.
You know what's amazing is when you think you actually have a pretty good pace going, and then someone passes you.
A child.
No. A person passes you on the running trail, and you look at them and you're like, God, they're slow. And then I was like, wait a second, she just passed me. That means I'm practically walking. No. That happened to me when I ran the marathon, too. I thought, I'm picking up a good pace in the New York Marathon. I have a pretty good pace going. And then someone, God bless her, a woman who's like 5'5", weighs 250 pounds, is blowing by me. I'm like, she's in better shape than I am.
Using a walker.
No, but I'm coming back, slowly coming back from my 2-show-a-day non-exercise days. But so Raymond calls me, and I'm just about
with the good news. I always give you the good news in the morning.
You always call the good news. When Raymond calls me early in the morning, I think, someone's dead, someone's died. And in this case, it's a career who's died. That's died. And then we got the Cabbage Patch Kid firing off another missile that
can hit Washington apparently now. D.C. is within range.
And I spent all that money on that landscaping, for my landscaping on my house. Here's the good news. You don't have to worry about mowing the lawn anymore. The bad news is you have no lawn. It's all gone. So we have that small matter to deal with, the Cabbage Patch Kid. Well, didn't you used to pull a cord on the Cabbage Patch doll and they would talk, or was that?
I don't think so.
Chrissy and Velvet with the hair growing? Else. I can't remember.
That was a Woody doll.
Yeah, that was okay.
But
so what happened?
Back to the Lauer accusations, and I want to say that
accusations.
There was a female NBC employee who claims during the Rio Olympics, Matt Lauer was gold medaling, and apparently.
Was it a long jump?
Well, I don't know if it was a long jump or a pole vault, but whatever it was. He apparently he didn't quite get gold on this one. And look, he and his wife apparently have lived separate lives. She filed for divorce in 2006. They reached a settlement. She lives elsewhere. He lives in town. And the rumor was that he was dating a number of ladies at NBC, all consensual. Mm-hmm. And here's my worry.
Yeah, I know him a little bit. He's a liberal. He's a liberal guy. He always seemed fine to me. But how do I know?
All the people at NBC were very broken up. Savannah Guthrie, Hoda Kotb, and Willie Geist were very upset.
Was Savannah playing the role of Nora O'Donnell crying about... Let's put a montage together of Nora O'Donnell crying over Charlie Rose, Savannah crying
Gayle
over
King.
Lauer. Gayle King. Has anyone checked on Oprah today? Because I think Oprah... Nopra? Oh, no one checked on Oprah. So now they're all broken up.
Does this mean Brokaw's coming back to the mornings?
Mumbles is coming back. Oh, talk radio was inappropriate.
All we can say is that we are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear friend and my partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story, and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
And I get the big office now.
And we are grappling with a dilemma that so many people have faced these past few weeks. How do you reconcile your love for someone with the revelation that they have behaved badly? And I don't know the answer to that.
How many times did they have Bill Clinton on? How many times did these people interview Bill Clinton on the Today Show? Didn't they do those big colloquies for the Clinton Foundation? They did the round tables.
MSNBC, Joe and Mika.
I have a question. How many times did they go over to the Davos in Switzerland and do the Davos panels with all the sexual molesters?
All the Hollywood stars?
Now, because it's Matt Lauer, they're suddenly broken up. They weren't broken up for Juanita Broderick. Where are the trail of tears for Paula Jones? Well, this is the most phony baloney stuff I've ever heard. They're broken up. She's going to get a raise. She'll get his office, which you know is bigger. Megyn Kelly will come in and swoop in, and it'll all be women. It'll be all women on all the. Maybe they'll bring back Connie Chung. What's Connie Chung doing? Was she ever at NBC or CBS? I can't remember.
She was at CBS.
You've never seen her again. She's just gone away.
Yeah.
Is she doing Home Shopping Network or something?
Joan London could come back.
Joan London from that A Place for Mom.
Katie is free. Yahoo News has booted
Katie
her,
Couric.
So she's free.
I think we have a theme going on throughout the entire radio show. Who could replace Matt Lauer?
Bryant Gumbel, call your office.
855. Well, he's a bit of a flirt, too. Remember when Jesse Jackson said to me, I'm going to tell us, I've already told this on the show years ago. Jesse Jackson says to me one day, where were we? I don't know. I have to think about where we actually were. Maybe on a plane or, no, we were on a panel together. I think it was CNN. He goes, I bet you do a lot of Stairmaster. He said that. He looked at me and he said, you work out a lot. You do a lot of Stairmaster. I said, well, I do a lot of Stairmaster. Thanks a lot. Like, it didn't bother me at all. I mean, I guess some people would say that was inappropriate, but who cares? I said, thanks. I said, you look like you're in pretty good shape, too. Bye. See you later. That was my response. But you know what I do look back on, which wasn't in the 20 years ago range. I look back on these moments of just a few months ago.
You were probably the last guy in the world that they wanted to fire because you were the guy that the ratings and the revenues were built on. You carried that network on your shoulders for a lot of years.
So
doesn't it seem safe to assume that the people at Fox News were given a piece of information or given some evidence that simply made it impossible for you to stay on at Fox News?
Out of that bite. Well, I don't know what happened to the end of that bite. But. Well, now the president is weighing in. The president has tweeted.
Oh, no, he's enjoying.
Brace yourself.
Okay, the Billy Bush. Now, remember, this is the network that dropped Billy Bush for the Billy Bush-Trump bad boy talk on the bus. Remember the bad boy talk on the bus in October of 2016 that everybody thought was going to be kind of the end of Trump.
Kill his campaign.
It killed Billy Bush's. Now, is Trump saying that didn't happen now? I'm a little confused about Trump.
He said it wasn't real or something.
He better drop that anyway.
He has tweeted twice this morning, and I'm going to read these now.
Okay. Go.
Wow, Matt Lauer was just fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. When will the top executives at NBC and Comcast be fired for putting out so much fake news? Check out Andy Lack's past.
Here's the second tweet.
So now that Matt Lauer...
I am going to have to start telling my stories.
Yeah, you
Me
bet.
too.
No.
Watch out.
Me 3.
Me too. See, I have my Me Too cards in my back pocket. I'm not playing those cards
That's going to be an Ingram Angle special.
That'll be an Ingram Angle hour-long special. But, Me Too. Go ahead.
Second Trump tweet of the day.
So now that Matt Lauer is gone, when will the fake news practitioners at NBC be terminating the contract of Phil Griffin? And will they terminate the low ratings Joe Scarborough based on the unsolved mystery that took place in Florida years ago?
The dead intern?
Investigate.
Oh! lantern that was found in Joe's office. Wow, we're going real. John Walsh on everybody.
Total tabloid.
We're going John Walsh from the Oval. What's going on?
Check out Andy Lack's past. Phil Griffin should be fired.
This is like the deck of cards in the Iraq War. This is the deck of cards in the Iraq War. Remember who got the Uday, and Kusay? Those are like the ace of spades. Then you got all the king, queen. Remember all the deck of cards? Trump has his own deck of cards up on the Oval Office.
This is a Trump hand. That's
you know what this is called? Payback.
Boy, oh boy.
This is called payback. Well, first of all, Jeff Sessions is a lot of things Jeff Sessions isn't investigating. This isn't quite on the top of my list.
But we should tell people, we are not joking. These are actually the tweets. He just tweeted this. The president did.
Now, we're about to go to war. I don't think we need to.
Now, Brian Stelter was out today on CNN
We should invite him on our show.
This is not.
Get it. Call up Brian Stetler.
Independence. Financial freedom preserves the integrity and excellence of a Hillsdale liberal arts education, attracting the nation's brightest students from music to biology to business. Hillsdale College teaches their students to pursue truth and defend liberty. Learn more about how Hillsdale College helps all of us become better, independent citizens, and how you can help Hillsdale further freedom at lauraforhillsdale.com. Not one penny. Hillsdale College. If you've listened to my show for any period of time, you know how much I love Food for the Poor. They do what they say. Their financial integrity is unequaled, and I've seen their work personally. I'm so excited to work with them again this year. In Haiti, 1 out of 14 children will never see the age of 5 without our help. Together, we're going to save the lives of 4,200 children. $50 provides food for a year and clean water for life for a suffering child. Call 844-868-4673 or go to lauraingraham.com. That's 844-868-4673 or go to lauraingraham.com.
To the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. Apparently we've gone down to Bourbon Street and are in the Christmas mode.
That's right. It's Christmas time. That's actually from my Christmas time in New Orleans CD. That's what that is. Why it's playing now, I have no idea. But I'm in a festive mood, so it's okay.
We are.
Right.
So Ingram Angle tonight, we have a great show on tap. Continuing, by the way, our investigation into socks on a train. You've heard of snakes on a plane? This is socks on a train. Who was the barefooted wonder padding up and down the Amtrak filthy aisle past us with untucked shirt and a very affable, he had a very affable personage. I said hi to him, and he said hi to me. And
no shoes.
But no shoes, and this was after our really important story we did yesterday about the Indian passenger on his way to New Delhi who both took off shoes and socks on a long bus trip, and the stench was so bad from those moist metatarsals that they actually diverted the bus to the police station and had those dirty dogs arrested.
Gross. They're so nasty.
Because he would not put he wouldn't throw the socks away or put the socks in his bag. He refused. So there was a big brawl that developed, and it was hilarious. So we had just read that on the radio show yesterday when we were traveling, and lo and behold, someone sent me this photo. So we will. There is a quiz or a query on Facebook and Twitter. Who is the socked wonder on Amtrak? And I mean, people have to be able to be teased. This is not, but people have little sense of humor. Apparently, there's some people out there who just have a very little sense of humor about this. But it
wasn't Matt Lauer.
It was not Matt Lauer. Although I ran into, maybe I'll do another quiz. I ran into another former and current television personality disembarking the train at Penn Station, with whom I spoke for a few moments. And she was a bit chilly, a little chilly. And, okay, what was my hint I could do? Last name has a male, a segment to the name. A man's segment to her last name.
Like
Robertson or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so that's
Robertson.
So
or
with whom
Coric.
did I speak?
Coric.
With With whom did I speak disembarking the train, and who was the socked wonder on the train? Very important quizzes, just to keep your brain sharp. You know, as you age and your brain it kind of starts to decline. So we'd like to keep you as sharp as possible.
Can we get to Kate Steinle?
Oh yes, let's do something more important. Obviously, on the Ingraham angle last night, I had an idea that Donald Trump should shame San Francisco after that horrific injustice done to Kate Steinle's family, the Zarate, Mr. Zarate with 4 names, he gets off with just a gun possession charge and not murder, not involuntary manslaughter, just gun possession after the sanctuary city allowed him to come and go pretty much as he pleased. So my idea was for Donald Trump to rename a park after Kate Steinle. Now, it may be that you have to have an act of Congress to rename the Federal Maritime Park in San Francisco, but and I can't imagine anyone in Congress would be. It would actually be great if some of the Democrats in Congress said, no, we oppose renaming the park, the Kate Steinle Park. But nevertheless, he could actually declare a monument to Kate Steinle. It's a portion of land near the park, and he could do that as well. But, I mean, it's easy to get an act of Congress to do this. Mitch McConnell and Ryan could get that done real quick. So, no, do you agree with me that should be a perpetual reminder of what happens when the rule of law is not followed, what happens when we create sanctuary status for criminals, and what happens when the justice system just goes off the rails, as it did. And I mean, it would be little comfort to her family, who are once again missing her at the holiday season. But she represents a lot of the victims. Just her name is well known. But there are so many others who have been abused, brutalized, physically attacked, killed in DWIs and so forth because of illegal immigrants who get sanctuary status in the United States of America. 855-40-LAURA. Your view on that. Alan Dershowitz is going to stop by. This investigation, no doubt, is moving into an obstruction phase. Andy McCarthy has a piece about that. We'll post that on lauraingraham.com. His new piece about how collusion is just out the window. See, again, the collusion thing was always a pretext. Now, Drudge has a link up about how they're going after Trump's Deutsche Bank records, business records, his loans he's taken. I mean, now this is what it's about, his business deals. But Donald Trump has said before, there's no collusion, there's no obstruction of justice. He said that on 2 or 3 occasions. I had forgotten that, and they played that yesterday. I think it was on MSNBC or CNN, one of the cables. James Kallstrom is going to stop by, former assistant director of the FBI, on the Peter Strzok situation. He's that agent who was sending anti-Trump texts during the presidential debate in October of 2016. Now, somehow the Inspector General's office, or Congress, or both, got access to his phone and found the texts. And it wasn't revealed until this week, last 6 days, about Mr. Strzok, last 4 days about Mr. Strzok. He was removed from the investigation into Russia in July. He was also on Hillary Clinton's email investigation. And if you missed the Ingraham angle last night, I'll tell you why this is significant. We also found out he was there for both the interviews of Cheryl Mills, who received immunity, and Huma Abedin. The guy's like the Forrest Gump of this Justice Department without any of the endearing qualities. He's everywhere. 855-40-LAURA. Dershowitz up next. Here's a tip. I got a tip. Best holiday hair you're going to have with Ovation Hair. Now, the gift set, 7 of the best-selling hair products in one beautiful gift box, including the beautiful and powerful one-of-a-kind cell therapy treatment. And it's proven to give you thicker, stronger, healthier-looking hair. Now, Ovation really works for me, and this gift box has everything in it you're going to need for all hair care types. Now, it's nearly 60% off retail, saving you over $80. But it's this week only. You get free shipping, too. So it's very cool. It's all through Friday, but only through Friday. So get all your shopping done in one place, save time and money. Be a gift giver that people remember because they actually use the product you give them. Put it up on a shelf somewhere. Again, ovationhair.com. You'll love it. The box, you don't even have to wrap it. Just put a bow around it. Put it under the tree. Ovationhair.com. Laura Ingraham at checkout. Carl Bernstein. Well, he's been dining out on Watergate for I don't know, 40 plus years. When everything's Watergate, nothing's Watergate. You can't just say it's like using the Holocaust. The Holocaust is the Holocaust. You can't say things are Holocaust when they're not the Holocaust. And you can't say everything is Watergate. We'll see what happens here. But the debate about whether a president can obstruct justice with the facts that we have here is very interesting. Not just whether the president can obstruct at all, but whether on these set of facts, whether or not you can obstruct justice. Joining us now, Alan Dershowitz, Harvard law professor, constitutional lawyer. He was our guest last night on the Ingraham angle. He joins us now. Professor Dershowitz, great to have you on. Well, you've really kicked up quite a firestorm on the question of obstruction of justice. For the layman out there, exactly what do you have to do to obstruct justice, and why is it perhaps not the case here, with the facts at least we know now, that the president could have obstructed?
Well, first, I know I hit a nerve when everybody on the other side distorts my argument. So my friend Larry Tribe on a tweet today, CNN yesterday, makes my argument sound like a president can never obstruct justice. My view is a president can obstruct justice if he does what Nixon did. Go back to your point about Watergate. This isn't Watergate. Nixon obstructed justice in three ways. One, by telling his subordinates to lie to the FBI. Two, by paying hush money to potential witnesses against him. And three, by destroying evidence. President Clinton was impeached for obstructing justice by telling witnesses to lie. That was the allegation against him. So that all strengthens my point. What you can't do is charge a president with obstruction of justice for merely exercising his Article II authority by firing people, by pardoning people. If you could, then President George W. Bush, H.W. Bush, would have been indicted for obstruction of justice. He pardoned Caspar Weinberger and 5 other people just as they were about to go to trial, with the intent of stopping the Iran-Contra investigation, and the special prosecutor came to that conclusion. He said he did it, and the result was stopping the investigation. But it never occurred to anybody that he could be charged with obstruction of justice. So the rule is clear. You cannot be charged with obstruction of justice for simply exercising your Article II authority, but you can be charged with obstruction of justice if you go beyond that and commit other crimes.
What if he had called Congress and said, lay off these investigations? This is,
would be the right
Russia
thing to do. He's the president. The president's entitled to do that. And we have separation of powers. The president can call Congress and tell them what he wants them to do, and Congress can say, no way, we're not doing it. That's what happened. The president may have called and said, I want you to call up the investigation, and Congress said, we're not doing it. That's a perfect exercise of the separation of powers and system of checks and balances. You can't stop a president from trying to influence Congress, and you can't stop Congress from refusing to accept the president's influence. So that argument is so far from possible. Obstructing justice by calling Congress? No way.
And what about talking to Comey behind closed doors when they had that, was a dinner, lunch, I forgot, it was a meal of some sort, and saying, Flynn's a good guy. Flynn's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, again, reportedly, he said, Flynn's a good guy. This kind of back off on this. What about that?
Well, I have said that so many times to prosecutors. I've gone to see prosecutors behind closed doors in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I've said, my client's a good guy. Look what he's done. He's given charity. Mostly they say, pound sand. But that's what a defense attorney does all the time. The president has unique authority. He could have told Comey, he could have told anybody, I don't want this guy investigated. Thomas Jefferson probably was behind closed doors when he said to his attorney general, I want you to prosecute Aaron Burr. President, I just learned today from a friend who was in the administration that President Kennedy said, prosecute Stokely Carmichael. You must do that. Presidents do that all the time. Lincoln said, prosecute those people who are in the North and sympathetic to the South. President Roosevelt said, go after those spies that landed on our shores and make sure they get the death penalty. We have that all the time. The idea that a president can be prosecuted for telling the Justice Department what to do is as ludicrous as saying the president can be prosecuted for telling the Defense Department what to do. The president is in charge of the executive branch. He made the decision 2 days ago to send jets over North Korea or over Korea. That's his authority. He has the authority to tell the Justice Department who to prosecute and not to. It's a mistake. We should never have had a constitution that gives that power to the president, but we do, and we have to live with it, and we can't make it into a crime just because we're targeting Donald Trump.
We're talking to Alan Dershowitz here on the Laura Ingraham Show. This entire idea of the special counsel's office, to a lot of people, it sounds it sounds odd because on the one hand, you can't fire him because if you do, it looks bad. On the other hand, of course, sure, it does fall within the executive branch. Is very sure, insulated from any real accountability from Congress. It's kind of a standalone in many ways, and members of Congress want to further insulate and inoculate the office from scrutiny of any kind. What about that, just as a general matter, Alan?
Well, I would much prefer to see what England and Israel have, and that independent offices of prosecution, which are not within the executive branch at all. The president can have no authority. You never need a special prosecutor in England because there's a full-time special prosecutor, or in Israel. In the United States, we merge the two offices. We merge into Attorney General the Office of Minister of Justice, the political advisor to the president, member of the cabinet, and what should be an independent office, the Office of Prosecutor. In England, it's called the Director of Public Prosecution. In Israel, it's called the Attorney General. It would be much, much better institutionally to separate those two offices, but we didn't do it. The Founding Fathers didn't do it. And you can't correct that by imposing criminal punishments on people who are acting under the authority of the Constitution. Change the Constitution if you don't like it. Pass legislation, but don't use the criminal justice system to try to change our current constitutional system.
Just back to this obstruction question for a moment. Andy McCarthy yesterday in the afternoon said now that he said Mueller's investigation is essentially now an obstruction probe. The day after firing Flynn, Trump had the White House meeting at which, according to testimony of Comey, Trump pressured Comey to drop the Flynn investigation. We note that the president denies pressuring Comey and that the FBI investigation was never dropped. Thus, if Trump knew that Flynn had lied to the FBI, he was asking Comey to drop a case against someone he knew had committed a crime. You say that's still not obstruction.
Okay. Oh, of course not. He could have pardoned him. He could have just issued a pardon the way President Bush issued a pardon. That would have ended the investigation. The president has the authority to pardon anybody for any reason. The president has the authority to stop any investigation for any reason. Now, if the president stops an investigation that's pointing at him, you might say that's an impeachable offense. Congress has the right to consider that as part of an impeachment process of abuse of office. But it's not a crime. It can't be a crime, almost by definition, to exercise the authority that the Founding Fathers gave you in Article 2. And the one thing we don't want is psychoanalyzing the motives of the president. Take, for example, President Obama made an outrageous decision to not veto a UN resolution condemning Israel and Israel alone and calling the Western Wall a occupied territory. I know what his motive was. It wasn't to help America. It wasn't to achieve world peace. It was to get even with Netanyahu. It was a personal pique. It was an irresponsible decision. Does that mean that we can do something about it other than politically? We can complain about it politically, but we don't psychoanalyze the president. Presidents always have mixed motives, self-aggrandizement. They want to be in the history books, partisan advantage, political gain. So, we don't psychoanalyze presidents or judges or senators. Remember that senators can't be prosecuted for what they do in the Senate floor. Judges can't be prosecuted for what they say and do in judicial opinions. It's part of our system of checks and balances that we immunize from prosecution each of the three branches for performing their constitutional function.
So, but you're saying in general, like with this, one could impede an investigation to prevent the FBI from finding out whether there was a crime.
Sure.
But even though that's not
George Bush,
right, that's what
George Bush did. He impeded an investigation.
Right, but then that could just be could be used, you're saying, in an impeachment proceeding as an abuse of power. See, that's all. Then goes back to crimes and misdemeanors, right? It goes back to the meaning of crimes and misdemeanors under the impeachment clause.
Right, and Hamilton was very clear that he thinks that could include an abuse of office, which doesn't rise to the level of prosecutable crime. And the way the framers set up the Constitution, you have to impeach a president first, and only then can you charge him after he's out of office with crimes he committed while he was in office.
And finally, Professor Dershowitz, on this issue of the Mueller lead investigator, this guy Peter Strzok, we're only finding out now that not only was he there for the Comey interview, that Comey, by the way, never had to do, and he did for some reason on the 24th, and Sally Yates, the acting attorney general, is involved there. But so he was there, Strzok was there then. He was there for the interview of Hillary Clinton. He was one of the lead investigators on the Hillary Clinton email, one of the lead investigators on the Trump-Russia. And now we find out he was there for Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills, and Mills got immunity from prosecution. So he's kind of like the Forrest Gump of these investigations.
He's the Zelig of this investigation. Look, he should have recused himself on day one. He, before anybody else, and his girlfriend, knew that he was sending these tweets. And when you send these tweets and you express a bias against one person in the investigation in favor of another, it happened to be a bias I share, I voted for Hillary Clinton, but you don't serve in a prosecutorial or investigative capacity if you express those kinds of views. And he should have recused himself immediately, not wait until the summer when he was taken off the case.
Alan Dershowitz, was great having you on TV last night. Fantastic appearance, as always. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break here on the Laura Ingraham Show. Coming up, you're never going to guess who might get a talk show on ABC. Don't go away. Must you be so cruel to Alec Baldwin and actually depress us with his old voicemails to his daughter? That's just odd. They've repaired their relationship since he called her a big fat pig. 855-40-LAURA. Ingraham Angle tonight, 10 p.m. Billionaire at the barricades, populist revolution from Reagan to Trump. What Trump faces now, even more in the barricade than before. The barricade's taller. Now you got Mueller in the barricade. Office of the Special Counsel. And there is a very interesting fishing expedition going on in that office. Remember, he has a gaggle of anti-Trump, pro-Hillary prosecutors working for him. They despise him. Despise Donald Trump, and they want him, if not to be frog marched out of the White House, they love him to be in jail, where his hair isn't taken care of as well. Who was that other guy, the famous guy who went to jail? Then his hair, what was always perfect, then you saw his hair in jail. Who was
Gotti? Was it John Gotti?
No, was it Phil Spector, maybe? Remember Phil Spector from the music legend producer Phil Spector? I think that's what it was. And in jail, you saw what he really looked like.
Yeah, well.
But that's their goal. I mean, and Raymond, you made a great point about how the Hollywood set, they push a narrative on every level. They push it through film, talk show. Alec Baldwin's now getting an ABC talk show.
But why? Why would you give him a talk show? Just because he does a bad Trump impersonation and attacks the president?
I can't stand his impersonation of Trump. Not because
No, because it's not particularly good.
It's not funny.
No, he does that puss face, like that big weird pucker, like a, and it looks ridiculous. It doesn't look like Trump at all.
No.
Yeah, it's very, but again, that's the payment for attacking your political opponent. I don't believe that you should earn your bones in entertainment by attacking someone politically, but that happens all the time. Look at the people who host shows. Look at the people who get variety shows. I'm thinking of a variety show that launched a year ago that, of course, you've never heard of because they took it off the air after 6 weeks.
And last night, Sean Parker, who is one of the original investors in Facebook and a digital media guru for many in startup land out in Silicon Valley, is a multi-billionaire. And he said screen time is like dopamine for the brain, and it's addictive. We find out now that babies are most vulnerable to screens. Infants aged 18 months and younger should not be exposed to any digital media, according to the Academy of Pediatrics. So the American Academy of Pediatrics is about 10,000 pediatricians. And they issued these guidelines, some of them last year, about screen time, and they said that there should be, before it was no more than 2 hours in front of the TV for any kids over age 2. But today, of course, even when we're in New York City, and you walk down the street in New York City and screens are everywhere. Billboards that used to just be billboards are now digital screens that are constantly changing and flashing, and I hate it. I hate what's happened to Broadway. I can't stand the digitization of the billboards and all that. And I know, okay, Laura, what are you going to do about Genie's out of the bottle? I get that, but I find it to be an assault on the senses. It's an assault. It's not enjoyable. It's actually an assault. And imagine the young developing brain.
Well, the University of Michigan did a study on kids age 4 to 11, and they found it's not the hours spent on the screen, but the time they spend thinking about screen media, screen time. Their whole existence begins to be wrapped up in it because they're like addicts. They're like people addicted to a drug. They need to get back to the screen, or they're thinking about the next screen interaction. And when you think about what we see, when you go to a place like New York or a place like New Orleans where there are a lot of visitors, people live their life, they experience life through the screen.
They're not even looking.
They're carrying the screen and looking at gazing into the screen rather than putting that crap away and enjoying the sensations around them that are real life sensations.
On Saturday, it was St. Nicholas Mass at our parish, and so we go up for communion.
They're a little early. Tomorrow is St. Nicholas Day.
Why did we have St. Nicholas Mass last?
Maybe you have a very progressive parish. I don't know.
No, we don't. We had St. Nicholas Mass on. You told me it was St. Nicholas Day.
Tomorrow, the 6th, is St. Nicholas Day.
Oh, okay. Well, we had our St. Nicholas Mass on. We did a vigil.
You're getting early.
We had a vigil. Our vigil Mass was the St. Nicholas Mass. We all brought toys, and then they had some cranky old dude dressed up as Santa, and Nico's like, "That's fake!" Like really loud, of course, in front of all the other kids. That's fake. But the reason I'm mentioning it is because going up for communion, it was pretty packed. There was a father, maybe he was a tall man, maybe he was, I don't know, 40 maybe, and he had a little baby girl, like a little Cindy Lou Who type girl. She was cute as a button. And he had her on his shoulder, and she was kind of leaning over his shoulder as he was going up for communion. It was really cute. And then Maria points, because she notices everything. She points, she's like, look at what the little girl is holding in her hand. She had a cell phone, and she was watching something. She could not have been older. I'm not kidding you, then maybe a year and a half, maybe she was 2, but I don't think so. She was tiny. And my kids are even noticing it now. It's really interesting when you start educating your kids on how bad it is, even they start noticing it.
Well, now Facebook has an app for that little girl.
Oh, good.
And many others.
I'm sure it won't be distracting or be abused by predators. No.
On Monday, they introduced a new app called Messenger Kids.
Oh, okay.
It's targeted to 13 and under. And they're betting that the app can introduce a new generation of users to the Silicon Valley giants' ever-expanding social media universe. Now, remember, this became a big debate because a lot of researchers, as you said earlier, are saying there really shouldn't be any interaction with social media until they're 9 or up. You know, some say wait till 8th grade.
My kids are not doing it, period. We're not even doing it at all. None.
You don't need to do it. You really don't need to do it. I mean, even the cell phone we ended up getting for our kid because he was 40 minutes from the house, it was a flip phone. And they recently wanted, his friends, they all have the fancy smartphones. And I said, Lorenzo, do you want us to get you, a smartphone? He's like, why? I hate it. I leave it at home all the time. I don't need that. He said, I can talk to people. And that's what he does.
The Academy recommends that for children 2 to 5 years of age, screen time should be limited to 1 hour per day. For kids 6 and older, parents can determine the restrictions for time spent using the screen, as well as monitor the types of digital media they're showing. Oh, thanks. So they can say, well, you can monitor your kids 6 and up. Well, what do we find out? Girls especially are so susceptible to shaming and to aggressive bullying online in a way that takes it up 10 notches from the regular bullying.
And all the pictures, Snapchat, Instagram, it all plays into the look what I'm doing.
Narcissism. Look what I'm wearing.
And
look what I'm
seeing.
Look what I'm doing. I'm so happy. You're so miserable. I'm out on a Friday night. You're not. I'm with the cool kids. You're with the math club. This is what they want to. This is what they want to do. How many of you listening out there today have young kids and are fighting this battle now? And my question to you is, are you winning the battle? Did you win the battle? Now, if you can, I want to focus on parents who still have kids who are teens or younger living at home.
14 and under.
14 or under living at home. The
Facebook app, again, there are very few messaging. I hope I'm on. There are very few messaging devices for kids. Messaging apps. The reason is there's a federal law that requires parental verification and permission for a child under 14 to use social media. My question, would you allow your child to get on this Facebook app? And do you see concerns? Have you seen problems with social media in the tweens and child set? I mean, there are 7-year-olds, there are 8-year-olds who have YouTube channels and are texting.
Infants 18 months and younger. This is what I'm saying. When they have the cell phone hanging in the crib above the kid. God. For parents with infants, cutting off technology completely can be challenging, but banning screen time for babies, this is CNN, is hugely important for brain development and healthy parent-child connections. The noise and activity of a screen are distracting for a child. Even if the baby isn't directly looking at the screen. For example, if a mother's nursing her child on the couch while watching TV, the baby can be overstimulated by the lights and sounds, which may cause distress and sleep problems. Perhaps most negatively, screen time causes... Oh, I tell my boys that all the time. Mm-hmm. In the eyes. Look in the eyes. And they don't do screen time. And they still don't look in the eyes half the time. The better off you are. Eye-to-eye contact. Eye contact. You look me in the eye. The old sayings always come back to have more meaning as you get older. Look me in the eye. Let's see eye to eye on this. They don't say, let's see eye to screen on this. They say, let's see eye to eye.
Well, the weird thing about this Facebook app, the parent already has to have a fully established Facebook account, and they can sign their children in. So the kids can't sign themselves in. But why would a parent do this? The pitch of the company is, look, your kids are already doing this on social media.
So you'll be able to monitor them because you'll be in the account.
No, you won't monitor them. You won't monitor them.
Won't they be in your overall account so you can go onto their account?
It's kind of a safe space where they can only do certain things. They can only communicate in a certain way. So Facebook's pitch is, look, this is the guardrails on the social media. Why don't you initiate them since they're already here anyway, Mom and Dad?
It's all too big. Facebook's too big. Google's too big. 855-40-LAURA. Are you dealing with this at home? And have you seen the carnage, the social interaction carnage that has resulted from the overuse of screens and experiencing life through screens? And we're not talking just television. Mostly now everything's going mobile. TV will be a mobile platform fully within the next 5 years. Very few people are going to be watching big screen TVs, other shows. They're going to be watching them whenever they want to, like they do Netflix now. So cable, all of this is going to change over the next 5 to 7 years. It's going to be very different from what it is right now. Mm-hmm. And that means more in-your-face screen time. Really?
It does. This Facebook app would give parents control over their child's messaging and videos, and that's commendable. But they're also collecting data.
Of course they are. The data is what matters.
What their friends like,
so they market, and then the ads go, and it's all part of
no ads on this service, but that doesn't mean there won't be ads forthcoming. There just aren't any right now.
Everything is a data point. Every time you get online, it's a data point of your existence. Mm-hmm. That's why there's a movement to unplug completely from the internet and everything. Unplug. That's why they don't want a cash society. They don't want cash. They're going to try to get rid of cash next.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're going to trackable currency is what they want. Mike in Arkansas before we have to take a break. Mike, welcome.
Hi, Laura. My wife and I have we have 3 kids. None of them get smartphones until they're at least 18. But I have a 15-year-old who is on social media, and what I've done with him is I have his Instagram account on my phone, and I let him see it every day or two, and he posts golf videos up there and things of that nature. It's all clean. But that way I can see what he's doing, who he's linking with, and who's asking to be linked with him. And I see that as totally my right. And I've told him on a number of occasions, hey, I don't want you to, whatever, friend that person on Instagram. And I think it works out well. Some people feel it's intrusive, but I don't care a bit about that.
Because, you're the father. What do you mean intrusive? When he pays the bills, he can determine his own rules. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
I'll give you intrusive.
I have a comment about St. Nicholas. I also have a comment about St. Nicholas Day I'd love to share.
Go ahead.
One thing that we started doing when our kids were really young, and it's been a beautiful tradition, is the kids put their shoes underneath the
we do that
tree every year. Yeah, it's a great tradition. We always give them a piece of fruit, a piece of candy, and maybe a small toy or something.
I'm just teasing. My got like a Nutella stick because they were not behaving. They're the St. Nicholas shoe we put it out on Saturday. We just gave them a Nutella thing. They're lucky to get anything. They were not behaving on Saturday, so they usually put a potato in there. Last year, Nico got a potato because he was not behaving in his shoe. And you know what? He remembered that. He's in the car going to Mass, and he said, Mama, remember last year on St. Nicholas I got a potato? And he goes, it was pretty good. He ate the potato raw. He is a defiant one. You try to put a limit on him, and he's like, "Oh, it was actually pretty good." I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna get. I don't know what you're gonna get now this time, but you're gonna get something that's even really bitter."
We'll see how he chews on that charcoal briquette.
Yeah, exactly. 855-40-LAURA. Stay with us. You've heard me talk this past year about how much MyPillow has helped me have a better night's sleep. Oh, I tossed and turned all night, and I never felt fully rested, but that changed once I discovered MyPillow. It's the holiday season. There's no better time than to buy a MyPillow for yourself or your friends and family. They make a great holiday gift, a great hostess gift, a great gift, period. And it's not only pillows that they make. They have incredible sheets, and they even have dog beds that pets love. And, of course, it's all manufactured right here in the United States and comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and the best part is you get a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com or call them at 800-385-5164 and use the promo code Laura to take advantage of my special buy one, get one free savings. It's the holiday season. There's no better time than to buy a MyPillow for yourself or your friends and family. So again, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-385-5164 and use the promo code Laura to take advantage of the buy one, get one free savings. Do you hear what I hear? Well, you are being tracked online. We all know that. But what about your kids? Maybe you can take it, but can your kids? Steve in North Carolina, social media and children. Now as young as 18 months to, I guess, first time they're up in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger with a Facebook account. Steve.
Yeah, hi, Laura. How are you? I think it's kind of fitting that I'm talking to you right now with this. I had literally last night had this conversation with my 12-year-old who we just got a cell phone for. I basically described social media as a cesspool to her. What I think is imperative that parents need to do is to show their young tweens, so to speak, the data that's been out and these studies about the suicide rates and about the shaming. And so the conversation I had with my daughter last night was, listen, this isn't reality. Sometimes we do have to unplug from all of this because it's not real. It's not how it was when you and I were growing up. I'm 43, where people talked, and if somebody was bullied, they were bullied to their face. And now with the bullying, the cyberbullying, I mean, it's in an instant. It's just, that's how quick it spreads like wildfire. And she's got a great head on her shoulders. She's 12 years old.
It's a distraction.
She understands it, but
it's a distraction. I see. I think it's easier to have no screen. And people say it's not realistic. Well, we all survived without a phone in our hand. We all survived, and some of us, did pretty well and thrived without a phone in our hand. It's a distraction, a major league distraction from learning, in my view. until you get older and can really handle it. Then you know what the pitfalls are. When you're 18, you have a better sense of what the pitfalls are in social media. And I know people think that's unrealistic. Well, I think it's unrealistic to think you're not going to have a damaged child who is on social media at an early age. That's a possibility of damage you cannot reverse. Tony in Florida. Tony.
Good morning. I'm not so much about the social media. My son's only 2 years old. I'm a 44-year-old dad who's tried for 6 years to have a child. And we just conceived 2 years ago, and it's been the greatest, or 3 years ago, it's been the greatest thing ever to happen to me. But it's the screen time. But now if you do any reading and parenting, they do push the 0 to 18 months, which you were speaking of. But I try to keep it away from him even now. And we just went out camping this last weekend, and so the previous weekend. This past weekend, I asked my son, 2 years old, what do you want to do? He said, go camping. He didn't say pick up a cell phone or pick up any type of media.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know why? Because you're teaching him about actually being able to survive, right? Surviving outside, nature, great skills, life skills, and you're with him. I have not done the camping thing with my children. Raymond just stuck his tongue out. Raymond camping would be a reality show. It's like Felix Unger.
My father took us camping all the time. Felix Unger
camping. I'd love to see it with your children.
I have to say, I didn't enjoy it.
You don't even like to walk barefoot on the beach.
I don't like to walk barefoot, period.
Let me just
Not
say.
Not even in my own home.
Let me see.
But apparently there are other people that you've seen who like to bare their toes.
I did not take that photo. Go to Facebook and Twitter. Speaking of social media, you're an adult. You can handle it. With whom did I see on the Acela train who was in stocking feet on that filthy floor? It's just a fun little media figure. You've heard me talking about how much fun it is to actually connect with your family over the holidays, minus screens around the table, actually be together. And it's nice every once in a while in our busy lives to laugh. You learn a little bit more about each other when you play some of your favorite board games. And one of the most fun games to play over the holiday season is called Say Anything. You just ask a question, and everyone around the table just starts talking and laughing. And with Say Anything, it's really easy. It's the go-to game for so many of my family and friends over the holidays, and it's a great hostess gift. You bring it, sit around the table. You can be 10 years old or 80 years old. There's no age limit. And you answer the same question, and the answers are hilarious. Now, I've learned a lot about my kids in playing this game, and I know you're going to as well. You have family, some of them you have to put up with over the holidays. Well, it'll make it easier if you play Say Anything. Only a few weeks left before Christmas, hard to believe. So make sure you give a gift that brings family and friends together. That's Say Anything. You can get it at Target and Toys R Us. Oh my gosh, it sounds like he was in a cave in Tora Bora or something. He's on a radio show in Illinois from his hospital bed, is that right? And he's announcing he's retiring. Is he still in anxiety ward? Is there an anxiety ward? Detroit radio station.
Apparently they record in a Campbell's soup can.
I said Illinois, Michigan. Oh, my goodness.
He's going to retire, but...
I want to thank all the women that I felt up, felt down, felt sideways, and all around.
Oh, Laura, he was just relaxing. He didn't let... The pants are so constricting in the office.
Could you help me unbutton my boxer shorts, please? Do you like briefs or boxers? That's what my question in my interviews.
So he's now finally out after, I think John should go. Nancy pushed the old octogenarian out the door.
And then there's another accusation that he groped a woman while in church. Now, this is the latest accusation. Now that takes some cojones, I'll tell you.
Good. Well,
and that gives the sign of peace a whole new meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's a new definition of communion. That's that man.
Biblical knowledge.
He is awful. Awful. So anyway, John Conyers is out, and he's retiring. He's not leaving immediately, but he's endorsing Raymond. So the whole in the law, there's this thing called the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Yes.
So in other words, if you get evidence from a suspect's apartment, you break into the suspect's apartment as a law enforcement official without a warrant, you cannot use the evidence you gather inside the house to then prosecute the suspect, because that would be a fruit of the poisonous tree.
Right.
My question to all of our listeners is John Conyers' relative of any kind the fruit of a poisonous tree? Why should he be recommending anyone, given what he was up to? He's recommending his one of his sons, his grandsons.
No, he's representing his son,
John Conyers Jr.
Ian Conyers, and there's another grandnephew who previously, John Conyers rather. He's endorsing his son John Conyers to succeed him. And but there's another, apparently a grandnephew who was saying he had Conyers' blessing to take the seat.
This is like the Sunnis versus the Shia, the Prophet Muhammad, or is it the son or the grand?
It's like a Dallas episode.
Yeah, exactly. Where's Charlene Tilton?
Yeah, well, JR has just given his blessing to John Ross.
This is a sham. This is not Dynasty with Crystal Carrington and Joan Collins. Come on, let's get a new crop of people in there. But it's a left-wing district.
My favorite is he said that my family will continue my legacy. My children will continue my legacy in Congress. Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
I'm not going to skirt the issue any longer.
Joining us now, I hope we're at least entertaining James Kallstrom, as a former assistant director of the FBI. James, first of all, you're one of my favorites, and it's the holiday season, and right now, with all the crazy things happening out there, we just have to at least entertain ourselves. How you doing?
Good, and you're one of my favorites, by the way, and that was very entertaining.
John Conyers is such a creep, James, and he thinks he gets to pick his successor. It just so happens to have the same first and last name. That's funny how it works. All right, we have a lot to get to on this FBI deal. Let's first talk about the Peter Strzok issue. By now, you know, he was one of the lead investigators. He's the deputy head of counter intel at the FBI. He's one of the lead investigators in both the Russia investigation and the Hillary Clinton email investigation. He successfully lobbied for Jim Comey to remove language from his non-indictment indictment of Hillary that was initially worded as she was grossly negligent, which was changed to, in handling of classified information, she was extremely careless. So he did that. He also was there for the interview of Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills, other Clinton cronies, and for the interview of Michael Flynn. The man gets around, let's just say it that way. And unfortunately, he was actually sending anti-Trump texts during the 2016 debate season. And so he's been removed from the case last July. We only learn about it now. And he's reassigned to HR, James.
Well, he would have been assigned outside the Bureau if I was the director. But I think that's just an outrageous situation that obviously Jim Comey, how many other sycophants does he have, that's part of this Comey group that were carrying water for the Clintons, the Clinton Foundation, and we're not helping the American people. I mean, just, people ask me, why are you so down on Comey? And I said, well, it's nothing personal. He just is not a leader. He wasn't strong. He caved like a cheap camera to the Obama administration. He played musical chairs, and when the music ended, he didn't have a chair. And he came up with that foolish press conference. And the whole investigation was foolish. And the agents that apparently carried it out, the supervising agents. Now, let me make my point clear here. I've said a lot of negative things about Comey and the leadership of the FBI. The agents in the FBI that actually do the work are by and far 99.9% patriots. They do a great job, and they're as depressed and outraged by this type of shenanigans as I am. And how do I know that? Well, I hear from a number of them, and it's just really outrageous. And why is the Justice Department and the Bureau not complying with requests from the Congress, the oversight committees, that's been going on, I think, Laura, now for, over a month? Or
no, I think longer than that.
Where they're just stonewalling. Yeah, they're just stonewalling. And, what is that about? What is Jeff Sessions doing there? Is he letting the Deputy Attorney General run and approve? And basically, is he just step aside on everything? and the Deputy Attorney General, what a horrendous
Rosenstein.
pick. I don't know the guy personally. I mean, he could be a good guy, but he was Bob Mikowski was responsible for making him the U.S. Attorney in Baltimore. I mean, that doesn't line up philosophically or in any way with the Trump administration, and it's just it's like a knife in the back of the Trump administration to put somebody like that. And then we find out that he's the U.S. Attorney on the uranium fiasco. So, and this is very, very troubling, Laura.
Well, I think when we try to turn the tables and say, if this were a pro-Trump prosecutor or investigator for the FBI examining the Hillary Clinton email investigation and was urging Comey to indict and actively urging a point of view at various interviews that would hurt Hillary Clinton or otherwise incriminate Hillary Clinton, the left would be going crazy. The left would be screaming bloody murder. Jeffrey Toobin today on CNN apparently said the Peter Strzok bias issue, or again, he was removed as one of the lead investigators. He's the co-head of counter intel at the FBI and apparently a very partisan figure. But he said it's a minor issue, it's a minor development, Toobin said, and it's just fodder for Fox News, James. But what if the shoe were on the other foot?
Yeah, Toobin lives in another universe. I mean, it's just pathetic, what comes out of his mouth on these issues. It's just crazy. But I mean, this new FBI director, I don't know him, but he, pretty soon now, he's going to have to, put his big boy pants on and stand up and start doing what's right for the Bureau. And what I mean by that is what is right for the American people, and let the FBI agents do their job in the way they're supposed to do it. All my years in the FBI and even the head of the New York office, we never had I never heard, not once, these group of agents like Clinton, or this group of agents didn't like Clinton. We just didn't deal that way. We deal with the facts, and we presented the facts, and of course we had great U.S. attorneys to deal with, like Rudy Giuliani and Mary Jo White and others. But I mean, this is some kind of a new thing. I don't know if it's part of the snowflake age, but I mean, this is crazy, and we can't have the FBI doing things like this.
No.
And it's just very, very distressing.
And I think whether it's the CIA or the FBI, you have to believe as an American citizen they're calling balls and strikes, that it's not a political vendetta either way, not against Democrats and not against Republicans. Things have to be done according to the rule of law, and you shouldn't be stacking investigations with partisans on either side. It wouldn't be tolerated. If the left were having to deal with this, it wouldn't be tolerated. And it shouldn't be tolerated in this investigation either, period.
Without question, it shouldn't be tolerated by either side. And one of
go ahead.
The great things that was just so distressing about Comey's reign is that, they basically let the American people out to dry. I mean, 400 or 500 citizens that were abused by the IRS. And not only were they abused by the IRS and couldn't form their 501c3s or 501c4s, but in some of those cases, the FBI actually teamed with the IRS and badgered these people for no good reason. I mean, that's an outrage as far as I'm concerned. The FBI should not be doing things like that. And weaponizing. And then just recently, Bureau agents going into the home of Paul Manafort early in the morning with apparently with like a SWAT team with guns. I don't know if they had them drawn or not, but that's just outrageous. We don't do that. Did he pose some kind of a threat? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, in my era, we would never, ever consider doing that. Do you have to do that on occasion? Sure. But I mean, that was just
that was all for show. They wanted it was a big show. It was all for show, so they could send a message to the other potential targets or witnesses that this will happen to you if you don't cooperate. Or that was all done for show. James Kallstrom, always great talking to you. If I don't chat with you, James, have a wonderful Christmas with you and your family, and I just hope you have a great Christmas season and come back soon if we don't talk to you in the new year. All right.
Absolutely. God bless.
All right, you take care. We'll take a break on the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. A member of the media, and a fairly prominent one at that, is calling for a resistance to Donald Trump. Don't go away. Remember that? That was after that Charlottesville rally. Some white supremacist nuts that were there, and people were there mad about the statues. And have they ever taken the black shroud off of Robert E. Lee in Charlottesville? Is it still there? Must be getting quite threadbare in the elements. Is it fading now? I mean, this is just embarrassing.
Maybe they re-shroud him every week.
The shroud. So that was Jim Acosta, who's a reporter for CNN, who was appearing at the Pointer Media Ethics Summit. Pointer is a journalism group headed by my friend Jim Warren, who I adore. But anyway, he was there, and they were talking about the need to resist President Trump's demonization of the media as fake news, specifically attacking journalists as not real journalists, as fake and so forth. And Acosta seemed to speak for all reporters, according to the Washington Free Beacon, saying, well, they're not part of the, quote, resistance, but then added, when journalists are attacked, journalists have to resist. What does that mean exactly when you say journalists have to resist? Does that mean you stop reporting facts or that you report them with a vengeance? Is that an interesting question? Because if you're a reporter, you are not supposed to be injecting your personal agenda or opinion into every story. I mean, people have their own political views.
But this is the problem. Everybody's going to their corners, and the American people don't know where to get unvarnished truth or just a fact.
Well, as I've said repeatedly about this particular saga, I think it's generally better, although Trump seems to have broken the mold on so many of these old rules, I think it's generally better not to fight everybody at once. It's hard to fight the establishment, political, media, and business world all at the same time. Now, Donald Trump did it during the election and won, but now he's governing, and it's a different kettle of fish. It's harder. So sometimes it's better just to focus on the American people. The media are going to do what the media are going to do, but the happy voters will be your protectorate in the end. Happy voters. Happy consumers, happy parents, happy citizens. 855